What is good, everyone? I'm Forrest Walker, and hello from Yerevan, Armenia. This will be my first photo walk talk video from Yerevan, so we're going to start off with the most classic walk here, right in the center. The center is kind of in a circular shape here. It's very walkable and compact. There's a lot of interest and a lot of key points, very close to each other. So it doesn't take a lot of ground to cover a lot of interest here. We're going to cover different places like Freedom Square, Republic Square, Mashtots Avenue, Northern Avenue, Vernissage, which is a market here, outside market, Cascade, a lot of different points. You'll see once we get into it, but what a photo walk talk video is, if you're not familiar with it, is it's kind of my twist on the photo walk videos that you might have seen from other photographers, but instead of taking you out on the walk with me, we're more going to take the photos from the walk and go over them and learn from them. Because I believe that learning from your own photos and even learning from other photos is one of the best ways to get better and improve, other than obviously photographing. But it's a great way to learn. So I'm going to share different insights. I've selected around 20 photos that will go into my computer from the walk, and then we'll go over those. And I'm going to give them just off the top of my head, just different insights, the first things I look at when I look at a photo. I'll get into more detail on what we're going to do once we get into it, but also go over a little bit about the walk. I'll share a map, give you some context. So if you're ever in Yerevan, you can take this photo walk, and then you'll get to see photos from the walk, get an idea of Yerevan if you've never been here for street photography. So yeah, I think it's a very good exercise. People have enjoyed it so far, and so let's get into it. Now let's go into my computer and get this started, and after we're done, we'll come back out. I'll share some key points I think we can take and learn from that photo walk and the photos we went over, and then I'll share some details on some upcoming content. So let's get into it. All right, I brought up Yerevan here, and before we get into the photos, I'm going to start off with a map going over the key points of the walk to give you some context and show you where I went. But first, here's Yerevan right here. Get a little closer here. So we're doing Central Yerevan. So what I mean by that is right here, you'll see it's circular. This is actually called Circular Park here, but everything inside here is mainly what we're going to cover. Very walkable, compact, a lot of different sites. I did create a quick little map here to go over those key points. But on the walk, I started here. I actually stay right here. But I started here. Here's Mashtots Avenue, which is maybe the main avenue here where you have a lot of life at all times. So I went up Mashtots. Then I walked all the way up to Freedom Square, which is the biggest square here in the center. There's Swan Lake. Here, right now, it's actually just a smaller skating rink because of the cold. But then you have the Opera Theater here. You have a lot going on, but you'll see photos. And then going up here, you get to the Cascade Complex, which are these long set of steps. They get you pretty high up there. You can get a really nice view. It's one of the main spots to go to. You'll see a photo there. There wasn't much happening on the walk I did, but I did put in one photo to show you. And then you have Northern Avenue right here, which is a newer street. It's a shopping street, pedestrian street. They built not too long ago. So it has a very different feel than most of the city. And then over here you have Republic Square, another main square of the city, and you have Vernissage, which is the biggest and most popular outside market here. So those are the key points. But first, let me give you just a quick idea of how we're going to do this. Normally, when you look at a photo, it's just, do you like the photo or not? But when you're trying to learn from photos, you can ask a few more questions. If you're looking at through your photos, definitely, or even other people's photos. For this exercise, I want to share the most insights and give you the best idea of the things that I was going for, or how I approach a scene, or just how to look at photos. So I'm going to cover a lot more questions than you would normally ask, just for the purpose of this video. But we're going to go over things like, first off, what works, what doesn't work, and I'm going to do this all on the top, off the top of the head, so it's going to be pretty candid. So I did select around 20 photos that I think will be good for this, because there's things that are working, but then there's things that are not, so I can provide the most kind of insight behind it. So things like, what was I going for, what grabbed me? I think when you look at a photo that you took, you should be able to at least to say what grabbed you or what you like about it. Maybe it's an instinctual shot, but there's probably still something you can point out that grabbed you. I'll explain anything that maybe is bothering me about the photo, or I wish could have been, either because I could have done something different, or maybe it was just out of my hands and I wanted something to happen that didn't happen. I'll explain the different ways that maybe I could have done something differently, or I'll also explain how I approached the scene, and also any challenges that I may have run into, because when you look at a photo, you don't know what really happened. You don't see outside the frame. Maybe you look at a photo and you're like, why didn't the photographer move to the right? But you don't know what is to the right. Maybe it was too messy. There's a lot of different choices you have to make when you're making photos, and there's a lot of different challenges. So we'll go touch on that too, and then just kind of an overall feeling and any lessons taken or emphasized from looking through the photos. So this is an exercise for learning and sharing different insights, but I don't want to get too focused on looking at every photo like this, because photos really shouldn't be technically broken apart like that all the time. If a photo works, it just works. So I just want to keep that emphasized too. But for this, we're going to start breaking them down. So I have around 20 photos from the walk here, and we started off. It's been really cold here. There's ice on the streets. It snowed a couple days ago. Actually, while I was on this walk later in the day, it started snowing pretty good again. You'll see that in the photos. The atmosphere changes a little bit. But this is starting off at the very start of the walk along Mashtots Avenue. This is more of like an abstract, more visual shot. Took it really quick. But as I walked by, he's setting up his shop here in the morning here with the flowers, and you have this plastic right here. And so I like the pattern here of the fog and then the color of the flowers. And then I caught this photo as he was walking by where he wasn't really blocked by that fog. So you can make out that there is a person here. And yeah, that's what I was going for. Real quick shot, nothing real special, more just visual, but you can see what I was going for here. So here you have a woman. She was pulling her, probably her son, across here on this sled. I actually haven't seen anyone doing this, so it stood out. I haven't seen this. It was funny, a funny little scene. We were walking across the street, and as she walked, I was already watching, but as she walked, she had a little trouble getting him over the step here. She was on her phone, so it stopped her right when she was on the phone, and she turned around, and I caught them when there was a little bit of gesture here. They're both looking at him. There's not really any overlapping. I was conscious of these people back here. So, and then you can see the line here. So I did get the separation. There is something happening here. I think for it to be a better photo, it needs be a little more closer, bring you in a little bit more, maybe seeing a little bit more of him. Now, it's a little tough when you're on the street here working angles, because if I got over here at this angle and got a little closer, it would have been better for them, but then it's a mess over here with all the cars. So this scene is a little messy too. That's another big problem with the scene. This is by Republic Square, and I was walking here, and this is more of just a quick instinctual shot. I already saw them here. There's always police or military around this area, but I really like this guy. He caught my eye with the cigarette hanging out of his mouth and those funny sunglasses there and the hat. So I liked him, and as soon as he looked at me like that, I took the shot really quick. But police, military, they don't really want you to take their photo, so I had to do it pretty sly. So I just looked straight ahead, and I think he obviously looked at me, but he thought I was taking a photo of something else, so he didn't say anything, or he would have. But I like him, but it needs to be, I wish it was closer, but I really couldn't have gotten any closer without him telling me not to take a photo. And it's a bit messy too. So this is the interest, and nothing else is really adding to it other than a little bit of the atmosphere, but it needs to be more centered on them. This is Republic Square. This is one of probably the more famous spots there. There's a lot of fountains around Yerevan. It's kind of a signature thing they have going, but this is a big fountain here. People take pictures by it all the time. But what I liked about it today is obviously the ice here. Normally there's not a bunch of ice. It created a nice, interesting effect. So instead of just taking a picture of that, I tried to make it a little bit more my own shot, make it a little more unique. So I worked on the angles here, got up really close. So it really brings focus to these ice, almost like hills. And then I wanted some life in there too. So I saw him walking by, and she was coming up. So I timed it to try to get him right in between these two fountains, and then her in between these. This brings a little bit of separation here, symmetry. So I got basically what I wanted. He could be a little bit further that way, but it's not bad. I like that he's about to take a smoke of a cigarette. So you have a little bit of gesture here. And then you do have some context. Place. If anyone's ever been to Yerevan, this is very recognizable place here with the architecture and the clock. So I like all that. I like the shot better than the ones we've seen so far. I took another shot when he was here and she was over here. I like her quite a bit. So I liked the other shot better because you could see her a lot better with her fur coat, but he was much worse because he was looking that way, so you just saw the back of his head. So this is the best shot of the two that I took. But overall, I like this photo. There's not a whole lot more I could have done. I just wish she was a little bit closer. This is on Northern Avenue. They're there every day. They sell bread and baked goods. You have the Armenian flags here. What I like is I like these lights behind this plastic, kind of like in the first photo. Creates a nice effect there, and I really like them. I took this very quick. I saw them standing there, and I knew as soon as they saw me take a photo, they would react. So I caught it right. They're all looking at me, but they're still very natural, which I like. I like her gesture. They have a lot of character. So I like this photo. I mean, it could have something more. I don't love the cars behind, but it's interesting to me. Okay, now we're at Freedom Square. There's Swan Lake over here, which is an ice skating rink now. Here's the big opera theater. A lot of people come here. Sometimes there's protests here or Republic Square. There's always something going on here. It's right by Northern Avenue, connects to it, and then it's before Cascade Complex. So I saw this man waiting at the crosswalk that I was waiting for. He had these balloons. Now this is a cliche scene. You'll see lots of photos in street photography of people, balloon sellers like this, and then you just see their legs. So I wanted to try to make something more of it than just that. I did take a photo of him at the crosswalk, which was better when it came to him because the legs were better and it was closer. But I wanted something more, so I did see I saw him walking, and I saw this red here, and there's really not a lot of other colors in the scene. So I try to put place here with the red here, and then there's the red of the cafe sign here. So I like that part, but I still want him a little more centered, and it's somewhat still of a one-trick shot, so it's not enough, or not original enough either. This is at the main part of the square in front of the Opera House. I like the colors in this scene, the blue and the car over here, and matches this little boy's outfit, which he has a nice outfit going on with the hoodie here and so the red and the blues. I like that, and then the rest of the scene has no color, so it stands out more. They're all separated here. None of them are looking at me. I like those things. Yeah, it's a nice shot to look at, but there's not anything that's really grabbing me, or there's nothing really happening of a lot of interest. Just more of a visually nice shot. It needs something more from me, and maybe to bring me in a little bit more. So these are, for whatever reason, these are all over Yerevan. You put the money in and you punch this bag, and it tells you your score based on how hard you hit it. This one's right in front of the Opera House. So I saw these police. There's always police around, but I saw them coming over like they were actually going to try it, and one did. And so I went over to take the photo, but I knew that they weren't going to be wanting me to take a photo, or at least I thought. Actually, as soon as I came over, I took the shot, and then one of them asked me if I took a photo, and I said yeah. And then they looked at my passport, but once I showed my passport, they actually were totally fine with me taking photos. So I took a couple more after this, but I really didn't get a good shot here. I like the opportunity of the scene, having police punching this bag. The officer actually only did it once, so I didn't have I just had one shot after this, but it's just too messy, the overlapping. The next shot was more a setup, like as in I was ready for it, but it wasn't any better really. So, but I felt like there was potential here. It just didn't come out. This is still at that square, at the park part. So I came over here and I saw this dog standing right here with his head hidden. I like that. It creates a little mystery. There's some nice lines here with these trees, and then you have the white snow, really makes them stand out. And then there was this dog coming over here, so I just timed it so he matches this other dog, whereas his head is right behind this tree here too. So it's a funny visual shot, kind of interesting. Nothing real great, but I got what I wanted. This is at the skating rink at Freedom Square at Swan Lake. Normally this is much bigger and filled up with water, but in the winter they turn it into a skating rink. And I've always tried to take a few photos when I'm walking in this area, which is most days, but I never get anything good here at the ice skating rink. It's always, overlapping and messy and nothing really that interesting. I'm up higher so I can't get that much closer. I'm on the edge here. But what stopped me here was he was getting his ice skate fixed here, tied. So that was kind of a funny scene, and then I was waiting for more to happen, and then this girl came over. I like her red outfit here, and then I waited till she was walking by. So this front part is okay. I don't like him there. He was walking by, but this is overlapping, and it's all a mess. It's kind of a mess of a scene, I'd say. This is another shot there, and I like this couple. She was just standing here. She had some trouble skating. He was a little bit better, so he was going around, and then he came and stopped by. And I caught them here. I like the color of his jacket there, but I caught him as he was fixing her hair. So always looking for gestures, one thing. And I like that I caught it right when he's fixing her hair like that. Your eyes really focus on that strand, especially in front of the white. So they're nice connection. But I don't really like this boy here right on top of his head. I wasn't going for any illusion. That just happened like that, and it's not. It just distracts. It doesn't add to it. So I would have liked this photo better if it was really focused on them, since this is really the only interesting thing happening. If there were no people around, it would have brought more focus, and if I could have gotten a little bit closer, would have been better too, but I was on the edge there. But they're nice, but the rest of it takes away from it, I think. This is almost to Cascade Complex, and there wasn't anything going on in this park, but this is just a, kind of a touristic shot, but I did take it, try to line it up here. And I do like these pictures, these paintings in front of the white here, and it frames that statue in there. But it's kind of a postcard shot more than anything interesting. This is Cascade Complex with the steps. You get a really good view up here. There was nobody here. These people work here, or this guy does at least. So sometimes when it's nicer out, you'll have a lot of couples on the steps here looking at the view, and you'll have people here, but on this day there was really no one there. I did walk up to the top though, checked out the view, tried to find something, couldn't really find anything. The reason I took this photo is you have some symmetry here. This divides the scene, and then they're matching basically in their hooded coats here, and I caught it at an angle here as they were both stepping in different directions. So they mimic or mirror each other. But other than that, there's not enough here. And I could have been a little closer too. Okay, so now when I got to Vernissage, which is the main outside market here, normally there's people here, but of course it started, since it started snowing like this, there was really no one shopping there. But there were a few people at their stands, but there were these two men. They started to build a snowman. So that was a funny scene to run into or walk into. So I decided to stop and take some photos here. And this scene went on for a while. Normally when I'm walking around, I'm just looking for interest, and moments happen very quickly. So you just move on, or I'm more just, I walk a lot. I move around a lot. I don't stay in work scenes unless they're good scenes. And this one is one that I did work for a while because there was something happening of interest. So I decided to pick around 5 photos. I think I took around 50 photos of the whole scene and was there for like a good 10 minutes photographing it. But I picked around 5. So in this photo walk talk, we can cover a little bit about working the scene and how I worked this scene. And in this case, I came up on the scene. The first shot, I took it. I waited till they both had their hands on this. So they mirror each other a little bit. This divides it. Then you have, Vernissage is a famous market here. So you have a point of interest here. So I like that I got that. Now, since I decided to stay here and I knew they just started building the snowman, it was just snow at this point, I knew I would have a lot of time here. So when you have time to work a scene, I think that it's best to really work it and try different angles and try anything you can to make it more unique than meets the eye. Straight on shot of something interesting when it could have been more unique is a missed opportunity. So when you have that time, I think just play around, experiment. A lot of your experiments will make the photo worse, but I think the goal should be to make a photo that's even more interesting than the scene was in person. Normally photos are less interesting than the scene. So working the scene, I like to play around with it, play with the angles. Once I got a feel for them, they just ignored me, which was great. So I was able to get up close if I wanted. So I tried different things. First here is just using the symmetry there. Then This is probably one of the better shots I think that I got here. This is after some guy went and got a carrot for them. So they're building the snowman. What I like about this photo, I was using the white of the snowman here. It blends into the white background. So it creates a little bit of an illusion there where they just pop out of nowhere and then you don't really see the outline of the snowman here. So I like them. I waited till his head was this way and his head was that way. So again, symmetry, and they're both kind of coming from each other. So I like this part quite a bit. I like this snowman here. And then you have the background of the market. I almost wish that these colors weren't there. They're a little distracting to me. It would be nice if it was just no colors and just the colors of the snowman here and them. But that's what I was going for with this scene. So a lot of it's just timing, getting the gesture right. Because the difficult or the challenge of this scene was they were doing their thing and they were moving constantly, so it's a lot about timing. I like this guy here. He came and watched them for a while. He's actually the guy that got the carrot, but I like his face, and he just had his head sticking out like that the whole time. But he went and got him the carrot actually, and yeah, he was funny, and he's just watching him. But I got him because he stands out too with the black here against the snow. And then he's looking right at the snowman, and you have him working on the snowman. Don't like this photo as much as the last one because it's not as unique or interesting, but I do like him. Then I was seeing if I could do some layers here. As he walked away, I caught him closer, and then you have the snowman here, you have some people back there, you have the sign here, vernissage, and then him working on the snowman still. So there's different layers here, different subjects, but yeah, it's still not as unique for me. I'm still looking for more. I did the same thing with this woman. She was walking by. Not many people were walking by. So whenever someone was walking by, I saw if I could do something with it. So she has her hair. I like her hair like this. And then you have them there. But something about this photo that I don't really like. She's maybe a little too close and they're a little too far away. And then when they were done, again, I took other photos. There was one other photo that I like quite a bit that I think I might save. But out of these photos, I think I like this one the best. And for me, it's the most unique of the photos. The other photos are mainly just, taking a photo of what I saw. This one is a little more unique. Taking a photo of how the scene would look to anybody almost. Just using layers though. But then I took one more photo. So here this woman was walking by with a nice pink umbrella. There's not a lot of color in the scene other than the pink and the yellow and then this. So I like that. And try to space it out, time it so she was over there. Then you have this here. You have the snowman here. So the scene's filled. But yeah, I wish maybe someone was over here too. But this is more of a, just a scenic shot with some interest though. Then across from vernissage, when I was finished with that, I walked across and there was guys, because the snow was really coming down at this point, there was guys cleaning up the steps. And I tried to angle this shot. I like the statue here. Angle this shot so I could fit them all in. Now the statue is really tall, of course. So if you do it straight on, it's going to be cutting off the sword. So I hit a bit of an angle here so you can get him in there and the sword in there. Space it out so the people aren't overlapping there. And then they looked at me, but this photo's not bad. It's still quite a bit of space here though, maybe a little bit closer. So I don't have these people, but just him, and him. Here, this is more about color. This whole scene here really doesn't have much color. You have the snow, the brown of the trees, and then the light, tan of the buildings. So this blue jacket really stood out. This child was walking by and they were looking at something over here. So this is more about the jacket really standing out with that color. And then there's some atmosphere of the snow too. I think we'll finish off with this shot. Now I was getting back. My camera was getting pretty wet at this point because the snow would melt. So and the day was ending too. So this is back by Republic Square. We'll finish off with this one. What I like about this photo is this was more of an instinctual shot too, but I like the colors. I like the snow. You have this person here with this pattern scarf. Yeah, it's somewhat of an abstract shot to me. I like the colors of this phone booth, the blue there, the yellow of the building, mixed with the different snow and the people. So we'll finish off with that. I don't know what more could have been done with this shot. It still doesn't have anything specifically interesting, more of abstract visual. There's nothing happening. So but I do like the look of it. So we'll finish off with that. Now we'll come back out and we'll go over a little bit more some of the key points that I think we can take from this walk. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that and took something from it. Photo walks like that are great because they're really easy to do. You can just go out there and all the interest is compact. You don't have a lot of off time for interest, so you can just walk from place to place, always have something to photograph. So it's fun to just be free. It's easy to photograph on walks like this. You're never really gonna have any pushback, especially in the center here. Yerevan's extremely friendly anyway, but in the center, people expect to see people taking pictures, so there's no problem. So if you're a beginner or just you want an easy walk, it's a great walk to do. The one challenge I'd say is it's in the center of the city. All the spots you're going to go to are very recognizable and known. There's plenty of photos from these places. Even though Yerevan's not the most photographed city, it's still the key spots like Republic and Freedom Square and these different spots. You can just hashtag it on Instagram and you're going to find endless photos from those different spots. So you just have to be original. The good thing is 99.9% of those photos are all the same. You just have to make it your own. You have to look for interest, find something unique there. Don't just use the same shot that everyone else uses. Think of something new. Don't copy what you've seen before. And the city has life and life is always changing, so you should be able to find something unique and still use those famous backgrounds for a place. Don't be deterred from the cliche so much that you don't take photos, but still make it your own and make it a photo that you can't find no matter what you hashtag. So those are some of my key points I'd say to take from that. Now the photo walk talks we're going to do in the future here. We're going to get more and more off the beaten path, so I'm excited for that. But the next one I think we're going to do is probably in Candid, which is a neighborhood here. It's still in the center, but it's not as photographed by tourists, but photographers do like it. It has a lot of character. It's, I believe, the oldest neighborhood in the city. So I think that's what we're going to do next. Then we'll go to some suburbs. Then we'll do, I think, a photo walk talk around the GUM here. And there's a lot of different ideas I have for photo walks. So it's a great city for that. So we're going to get into that. And as always, check out my Patreon below. I have a subscription-based content that provides endless variety of valuable content that you're not going to find anywhere else. So check that out too. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Cheers.